If you catch this type of carp, never feed it to your dog. It is worth more than grouper or salmon. This is a famous large carp of the Yellow River in China. Not every carp living in China's Yellow River qualifies to be called a Yellow River big carp. Only those with golden scales, red-tipped tails, upturned whiskers, bluish backs, elongated bodies, and 4 nostrils are the true ones. Naturally, truly wild Yellow River big carp are quite rare. Like the 4 big fish, common freshwater farm species, most of the Yellow River big carp seen on the market come from fish farms. In breeding farms, broodstock carp need a little help to start reproducing quickly, which involves an injection. Under the cover of night, workers administer a prepared spawning stimulant into the carp. While the female carp experience this rare surge, even the indifferent males have to play their part. Workers pair them in a 1-to-1 ratio and release them back into the pond for about 10 hours to rest. Stimulated by the chemicals, the carp enthusiastically release the precious eggs they've been nurturing for 2 years. Don't assume they are familiar with one another. In reality, the breeding pairs are strangers. To avoid inbreeding, the carp parents are either local groom and foreign bride, or vice versa. Without human intervention, they would never meet in their lifetime. The sticky fertilized eggs attach to fish nests made from palm fiber mats. Once everything settles down, workers retrieve the nests from the pond and place them in hatching tanks for cultivation. Compared to traditional breeding methods, the broodstock in these farms have it much easier. After artificial spawning and fertilization, the eggs are placed into incubation barrels for 3 to 5 days of hatching. Due to the strong stickiness of the eggs, workers must first bathe them to remove mucus and impurities before hatching. Over time, the eggs gradually turn white, seemingly lifeless. But in reality, they are preparing to break free. Workers transfer the nearly hatched eggs to hatching rivers, where the newly hatched fry stay for 3 days. Once they can feed independently, they are moved to fish ponds. To ensure a high survival rate for the fry, they must be provided with a good living environment. After one batch of fish leaves the pond, it undergoes a thorough cleaning. Workers drain the water, use high-pressure water jets to clean the pond, and remove silt from the bottom. Whether a fish grows well depends not only on its origins but also on its rearing conditions. Even undervalued fish like catfish or tilapia can taste great if raised in a good environment. As a bottom-dwelling species, carp need some silt in their environment to enhance nutrition. To eliminate residual small fish and bacteria in the silt, workers clean and disinfect the pond thoroughly after dredging. Fish ponds are sun-dried for 10 to 15 days, then sprayed with water along the pond edges to trigger a heat-generating chemical reaction. Large amounts of quicklime are applied. So, how many protective layers do carp fry need to survive this? In fact, the benefits of quicklime fundamentally improve farming efficiency. A week after filling the pond with water, workers spread organic fertilizer to fertilize the water. Once the pH value stabilizes between 7 and 8, the fry can be introduced into the pond. The fish here seem to have a knack for healthy living. They are provided with an endless supply of soy milk. China Yellow River carp are omnivorous, eating simpler diets as juveniles, but as adults, they consume a wide variety of foods. In the wild, they often feed on algae and plankton. In fish farms, however, their diet is less varied. Plankton like brine shrimp is not necessarily unaffordable, but is less cost-effective compared to soy milk. Workers prepare large quantities of fresh soy milk daily and feed the fry 3 times a day, morning, noon, and night. This continues until the fry reach about 1.5 centimeters, at which point they are transitioned to feed. Under the meticulous care of workers, the fry grow to 6 to 7 centimeters within just 2 months. At this stage, they are ready to leave the breeding facility for their next destination. Are they being sent to live in China's Yellow River? Unfortunately, the Yellow River, as our mother river, is not suitable for fish farming. However, Yellow River carp can be raised on Yellow River water. To increase their market value, fish farmers go to great lengths, even using pipelines to transport Yellow River water across mountains and valleys into the ponds. Despite being raised with Yellow River water, the price of Yellow River carp can vary greatly. Before leaving the breeding facility, the fry undergoes strict sorting. Unlike carnivorous fish, where the focus is on separating larger fish that may prey on smaller ones, the sorting of omnivorous fish aims to ensure uniform growth. Workers release the fry into ponds at a density of 1,500 fish per move, approximately 667 square meters. To maintain a good water environment, farmers often introduce cleaner fish to regulate water quality. As a species capable of surviving under the harsh conditions of the Yellow River sandy waters, the survival ability of carp stands out among freshwater fish. However, this applies to wild Yellow River carp. Those raised in controlled environments are relatively more delicate. To monitor the growth of the carp, workers conduct daily pond inspections without fail. If any abnormality is detected, they take immediate action. When the fish are seen gasping for air or during rainy weather, oxygenation devices are activated. While Yellow River water has a high oxygen retention capacity, the pond water needs to maintain a dissolved oxygen level of at least 4.5 milligrams per liter for optimal conditions. Below 2 milligrams per liter, the fish stop eating. If it drops to 1 milligram per liter, they immediately surface, struggling for oxygen. Oxygen depletion in ponds is a critical issue. If not addressed promptly, an entire pond of fish could surface belly up. Additionally, they prefer mildly alkaline water, similar to that of the Yellow River. Workers conduct pH tests in the fish ponds every 2 weeks, adjusting the pH by adding lime water as needed. When fish diseases are detected, magic is used to defeat magic. Beneficial bacteria are introduced to suppress harmful bacteria, and pesticides are regularly applied. Compared to the 4 major domestic fish, common carp, grass carp, silver carp, and bighead carp, Yellow River carp grow relatively slowly. Workers feed them a fixed amount of feed daily, calculated as 4% of their body weight, adjusting the quantity based on the weather and temperature. Although carp can withstand temperatures above 30 degrees Celsius and endure cold temperatures of just a few degrees, prolonged exposure to water temperatures below 15 degrees Celsius or above 32 degrees Celsius reduces their appetite and slows their growth. If the temperature drops below 10 degrees Celsius, they enter a fasting state, refusing to eat even premium food like dragon meat. After about a year of meticulous care, the carp grow to weigh 2 to 3 kilograms. Is this the point where they are ready to leave the pond? Not quite. Surprisingly, the secret to the deliciousness of Yellow River carp lies in weight loss. After a year of consuming high-energy meals twice daily and growing plump and round, these carp wouldn't fetch a high price. Now begins their hardship phase. To achieve the ideal taste and texture, every fish farm has its own methods. A common approach is to move the carp from their nutrient-rich ponds to more austere pools and ponds. The weight loss process in ponds is much more humane compared to concrete tanks. In ponds, carp have a larger activity area and are given a wild experience. No longer receiving regular feedings, the carp must fend for themselves. To encourage activity, workers set up 2 lights a kilometer apart at either end of the pond. The lights attract insects, providing an occasional snack. But to get even a small bite, the carp must swim several hundred meters, sparking their instinct to exercise. For the unlucky carp raised in concrete pools, the situation is even more challenging. These are the heavyweights among carp, so plump that they look no different from those in park ponds at first glance. To help them slim down quickly, workers not only withhold food for an entire month, but even limit the water supply they rely on to survive. The fish are kept in this sparse and minimal environment for 1 to 2 months. During this time, the Yellow River carp in the pond gradually slim down, developing firmer muscles, and the natural muddy odor of the soil pond diminishes. Workers spread a large net across one end of the pond and pull it towards the other end with force. In most traditional fish ponds, there is no net pulling machine. For ponds spanning over 10 acres and containing tens of thousands of pounds of fish, all the net pulling relies entirely on manpower. Amid the workers' heavy breaths, the fishing net slowly closes in on the other side. After an exhausting effort, the carp are finally gathered in one area. As the available space shrinks, the carp in the net begin to thrash around. Indeed, the best weight loss method is controlling their diet. After a month of this slimming regime, the year-old carp weigh just about 2 pounds each, regaining a sleek and slender shape. Their bodies are now not much different from wild Yellow River carp, although they lack the ruggedness that comes from battling through strong currents. The workers scoop the carp from the net and place them into plastic baskets, which are lifted onto aquatic transport trucks using a hoist. Some carp are delivered directly to aquatic markets, while others are sent for processing. But they're not being sent to work. Instead, they undergo freezing and cold chain transport, allowing diners in other regions to enjoy affordable Yellow River carp. At the processing facility, the lively carp are killed, gutted, and cleaned. Within minutes, they are ready for freezing, packaged as ingredients that can be cooked immediately once thawed. For diners who prioritize freshness, there's an even better option. Workers place live Yellow River carp into water-filled plastic bags, inject oxygen into the bags, and seal them. Though the carp can't move in this confined space, they can barely survive. In these sealed containers, they can live for 2 to 3 days, or in some cases, up to a week, long enough for long-distance transportation. However, compared to quick freezing methods, this approach is more costly. For fish farmers, making a fortune depends on favorable timing, location, and opportunity. Selling fish on regular days brings modest profits, but during the Chinese New Year season, it's a time to earn big money. Unlike in most parts of Guangdong, where many locals turn their noses up at carp, people here have a deep emotional connection to them. After all, the Yellow River carp is the living embodiment of the legendary image of fish leaping over the Dragon Gate, depicted in traditional New Year paintings. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.